Welcome back, America. You know, the issue of education is so crucially important, and we see what happens when children aren't educated and they're indoctrinated with these radical left-wing ideologies. Many years ago, I was elected to my local school board while I was in law school. I was the youngest elected school board member in the history of Pennsylvania at the time. I saw it then, but now it's 1,000 times worse. And I'm very happy to have with us the founder of American Parents Coalition.org, former Chief of Staff to the Air Force Secretary, and that would be Alleigh Marré. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. You put out every now and then this report. It is a scathing report, a look at what's taking place and so forth. So tell us what you have found, because I went through it, and it is repulsive what's going on in our classrooms. And these two massive, radical left-wing, incredibly wealthy unions are largely responsible for it, right?
That's correct. So what we found, unfortunately, is, as you said, these two unions have a very large amount of power. They spend tens of millions of dollars on political efforts every election cycle. They spent $43 million on their political efforts since 2022 alone. And none of that is getting directed back into the classroom or even to our teachers. You know, the national discussion for a long time has been about how our teachers aren't receiving the support and the funding that they need to be able to do a good job. And here's this organization that purports to serve our kids and our teachers, and they're out trying to receive their political power and to have big influence instead of making sure that the next generation is prepared for the real world. And as a parent myself and the organization that we run, parents are extremely frustrated with the current state of education, and that's why we sat down and did a big deep dive into these two organizations and how could this be happening with these two organizations that have so much resources and their bench is so deep for what they have, and they are just not using it for the appropriate efforts.
And at the beginning of the whole process here, they get their resources from we, the American people, paying real estate taxes, enormous amounts of taxes that go into these entities in the name of education. 2/3, 3/4 of which, depending on the school district, go to the teachers. A big chunk of their dues go to the unions, and that's how these unions are funded. They're monopolies. They're funded by people who own homes and commercial real estate and so forth. And if you don't pay it, you lose your home and you lose your property. That's quite a funding source. And you get into this and you say it's not only that they're involved in politics, they are involved in the most radical kind of left-wing politics and indoctrination that can take place, correct?
Absolutely. So teachers and our school system have a captive audience in our children for 8-10 hours a day. And so our kids are sitting in these classrooms, they love their teachers, and the teachers are feeling this immense amount of pressure in the curriculum that's being provided to them and what they're supposed to be teaching and the content that they're supposed to be providing to children. And then on top of that, anytime that a parent does stand up and step forward and say, hey, I have an issue with this curriculum or with this thing that you're teaching my kids or these books that are available in the classroom or in the library, the parents are then demonized. And instead of the schools and the districts finding ways to work together with families to resolve this, much of the time the teachers unions step in and they're providing all of this guidance and these resources on how then to subvert parents. One example that we pulled and we have in the report from the NEA handbook, specifically talking about transitioning students who, you know, may think their identity is different than their biological sex. In there, they explicitly say that any communication with the parents needs to be considered and approved essentially by the student, because parents might, quote, react negatively. So here they are, very, very fundamental decisions on the identity of your own child, and these schools are being counseled by the NEA and the AFT to not even talk to parents. There is no one who is going to be a better advocate, care more, and love their child than a parent. And so for school districts, school boards, teachers unions to try and stand in the way of that relationship is just unbelievable and is totally unacceptable. And these are things that are coming down from the top, from these teachers unions, direct into the schools.
When we come back, so we have this going on in the K through 12. We have going on in colleges and universities, foreign money coming into these universities. You have tenure of these radical Marxist Islamist professors. So basically, the entire educational system is owned by the radical left, the unions, the faculty, foreign money pouring in, billionaire money pouring in, taking our money, the taxpayers, where we pay property taxes and a lot of property taxes funding this. No accountability to us. In fact, as you just pointed out, parents are the enemy. Parents need to be misdirected or quieted somehow or some way. I want to get into this a little bit more, and what can we do about it? We'll be right back. Welcome back, America. We're here with Alleigh Marré. She is the founder of the American Parents Coalition. It's very important that you check out their website, AmericanParentsCoalition.org, AmericanParentsCoalition.org, because my question is, parents need to get involved. A lot of parents want to get involved. They don't know how to get involved. And the first step is being informed, getting information. So what do people do? Where can they go?
So on our website, AmericanParentsCoalition.org, we have a whole page dedicated to resources for parents on any number of issues. You can search it by an issue area that's specific to what you're interested in. I know we're talking about unions today, but we also have stuff about Title IX, about curriculum, records requests specific to your child. And you can search those things, and we'll have different resources that are available for you to be able to put into practice. Our organization is very involved in the public policy fight, but one thing that I think often gets lost in this conversation is we're also all at home raising our kids in real time. And public policy, there's always a lag. So what can you do today in your community, at your kitchen table, to affect some change? So we have a lot of resources on our website that will be supportive for you in that scenario. And also we have things, conversation guides and talking points for you to be able to sit down and have some of these tough conversations in your home with your kids so that they're prepared to go out into the world and to talk to you about these things as they start to hear them. We have a lot on there specific to social media, TikTok, parental controls, about what's going on in the digital world. So just so that you can really be armed as a family for all of the things that are going on out in the real world and be able to talk to your kids about it, but then also take those messages into your school, into your community, and educate other parents and get people on board.
That's excellent. You also talk in your report about blaming white supremacy culture for the failures of our society. These are the unions. Also, preferred names or pronouns, that is of utmost importance. So all of this is being planted in the minds of young people in elementary school, middle school, and high school, and then they go to the next level in colleges and universities. And you have enormous amounts of evidence, the funneling of millions and millions of dollars by these unions into radical left-wing organizations. In other words, just beyond what they're doing, providing support and so forth to that, almost exclusively the Democrats. So this has become, in many ways, a radical left-wing Democrat Party, massive operation with massive amounts of funds that Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer are forced to pay even if they disagree with the agenda in the party, right?
Yes, and what I find most disturbing about this, so what you alluded to was in the NEA's handbook, which was leaked earlier this year, and that is all against the backdrop of what the actual education outcomes are. 45%, this is according to the National Report Card, 45% of high school seniors are not achieving basic proficiency in reading, and a third are not achieving basic proficiency in math. And those numbers are just unacceptable. And when you look at them against the backdrop of what we've been talking about, it makes it all that much worse. You know, it's one thing to roll your eyes and take issue with someone's political ideology. I mean, we will encounter people who think differently than us in the world. That's part of life, and that's okay. But what's not okay is to put all of those things into the minds of young children at the expense of their education, their academic experience, and the things that are going to prepare them for the real world. I would much rather have my child sitting in a classroom learning math and being proficient in reading so that they can graduate, get into college if that's the right choice for them, or go out and enter into the trades and be able to have a fulfilling, self-sustained life and give back to the community, help improve our economy, raise great families. That's what education is supposed to do. And with the actual outcomes that we're seeing, it's clear that these unions can't walk and chew gum at the same time, and it's just unacceptable.
Well, you're doing a great job over there, Alleigh Marré. I want to thank you, the AmericanParentsCoalition.org, if people want to check it out. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you.